Welcome, everyone. I'm Jeffrey Goodman, Director of Marketing and Development at the YMCA of Northwest Louisiana, and we're here at 318 Latino Studios for Shreveport-Bossier, my city, my community, my home. And I absolutely can't wait to have today's discussion. Our guest is Howard Pernell Allen, also known as Chef Pernell. Chef?
How you doing, Jim?
I'm great.
Good to see you.
Great to have you.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for the invite.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thanks for making the time. Well, we're going to hop in. If I get anything wrong, please at any point correct me. But you were born in 1964.
That's correct.
In 1981, you were arrested and sentenced to Angola for murdering someone.
Sad to say that's true.
You were sentenced to life without parole, probation, nor suspension of sentence.
That's right.
Judge John R Ballard, when sentencing you, said the following.
Yeah.
We've had you in our juvenile facilities. Now we finally got you.
That's what he said.
All your dreams, hopes, and goals are over.
Yeah.
I sentence you to life.
That's right.
I confine you for the rest of your life to hard labor. So my first question for you is, talk to me about your early childhood and life, and what put you on this initial path that led you to being at Angola.
Well, first of all, I'm going to say that it was nobody's fault but mine. You know, I can sit here and point fingers, say it was this person's fault or my neighborhood's fault, but in essence, at the end of the day, it was my fault. I made some bad choices. But a lot of those choices were made based on the influence that I had in my neighborhood. I grew up in Cedar Grove, and the only people that I really knew or seen that were successful were thugs. I didn't know any doctors, lawyers, or politicians. I knew a few preachers, but I didn't know anybody that was successful rightly. And so I wanted to be successful in life. So I started doing what other people in my neighborhood started doing to become successful, which was illegal. And then there was a gentleman that he and I, we were pretty good friends. And some stuff happened, some words were twisted or wrong, and one thing led to another one, and then it led to a shooting, which I'm sad to say it happened. Now, as a 60-year-old man, I wish I could go back and change that, but I can't, you know what I'm saying? But I was 17 at the time, and that's not an excuse, but I've learned that youth and wisdom don't mix. The older you get, if you try to, your outlook on life will change. Your goals will change. If you start seeking a better way. And that's what happened. So prison didn't change me. What happened, I got tired of being who I was because I realized I was going nowhere because of my choices.
And I've read that the death of a childhood friend altered your life.
Yes.
Talk to me about this and how you ended up working for Warden Burl Cain.
Well, so we being uncandid. Well, when I went to prison, sad to say, I didn't have anybody on the outside to really take care of me, and I wasn't finna wash nobody underwear or be nobody's wife. You know what I'm saying? I was a strong person, still am. So what I started doing, I started finding ways to get marijuana into the prison. Getting marijuana into the prison allowed me to have an income into the prison. And I didn't trust a lot of people, but there was a few people that I knew from the streets I had grew up with, and those people I trusted and confided in. And one guy named was Oliver King. He really became my right-hand man in the drug trade. Sad to say, I started off as just a way to survive, but I started getting so much in that it became more than a way to survive. We started a gang called the Black Mafia. This documented, and we had right here 200 guys in the gang. It was Shreveport, and so 200, and we would get together under trees and we would socialize. And we kept a camaraderie among the guys from Shreveport, so those that were outside couldn't take advantage of it, because that's how prison cliques. And, you got the Aryan Nation, you got the Muslims, you got the Christians, you got the go on and on. So Shreveport, we organized ourselves, and it was mostly around the drug trade. So what happened by getting drugs in, I was able to give my friends drugs to sell. So they sold drugs so they could have a little income and I could make money off of them. And so everybody made money, everybody was happy, because and that's how that kind of went. But my friend Oliver King, he was my right-hand man, and he was going to school one day in the prison, and they say he went to school, he was sharpening his pencil, and he just fell down dead. And, had nobody stabbed him, because then we could have had a retribution. But he died of a heart attack. And that made me look at my life. Here I went to prison, I was 17. I never owned a car, never owned a house, didn't have no children, never did nothing my whole life. And I said, you know what? I got to do something different. So I didn't pray and say, well, look, God, if you get me out of jail, I'll quit doing this, I'll quit doing that. I put my head on the cover one night and I prayed, I said, Lord, help me be a better person. I didn't have to get me out of jail, but I didn't realize that I was praying like King Solomon. King Solomon prayed, he didn't pray for money, he prayed for wisdom so he could do what God called him to do. And the Bible says, since he asked for wisdom, that what he asked for was, God was pleased with that and gave him wisdom and wealth untold. And so I didn't realize that my prayer was like that at the time. And I prayed, Lord, help me be a better person. And I didn't realize a better person was get me out of the drug trade, get my mind focused on positive things. And that's what I eventually started doing. I told the guys, hey, man, I got to stop selling drugs, man. They're going to bust me sooner or later. That was the excuse to get out. Because when you got 400 guys or 200 guys in a clique, and you got 45 of them on payroll, you can't just tell these dudes, hey, man, look, I'm going to quit selling dope. Because you could create some enemies now. So what I did, I just gave them my excuse for getting out, and I turned everything over to my partner named Black. I turned everything over to him and the guy named Victor. And eventually it flopped. But, I didn't care. I wanted, and so being out of it allowed me then to do some things that I know I need to do to better my life. Even if I died in prison, I want my life to mean something. So I was working out, and I was cooking. And one of the wardens tasted my cooking, and they put me in the kitchen. And then another warden came through, and Warden Burl Cain, cook, had stole something. So they moved him out. And another warden said, you know what? I know a man, if you get him in here, he'll cook, and he'll stay out of everybody's business. We'll have no problem with him. He keep to himself, he quiet. So Warden Cain said, go get him. So they come and got me and brought me to Warden Cain house. And when they brought me there, he was sitting down at the table. He asked me a few questions. He said, I like this guy. He said, I really like this guy. He said, I want you to stay here. So he put me over his house. And for a lot of time, he would leave. I would be there. Yeah, I would be there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, in 2000, Time Magazine came to do a story on Warden Cain.
Right.
And while doing this story, the Time Magazine reporter had your food.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
They wrote about it.
Yes.
And they wrote some about your story.
Right.
So tell me some about this.
Well, what happened, Time Magazine editors, they was doing a special edition of Life Along the Mississippi. And they had chartered a yacht. And they started in Canada. And they came all the way down the Mississippi. I mean, the whole Mississippi. And everywhere they come, they would stop. Because they were doing a story of life along the Mississippi. So everywhere, down from Canada to the Gulf of Mexico, they stopped. And they stopped at the prison to do a story on Warden Cain and the prison. But when they came there, as God gave me favor, and they sit down, they ate my cooking, and they told the warden, they said, who cooked this food? Warden Cain said, Howard did. And then he told me, said, he's a good cook, but he's going to die an old man in prison because Howard killed the man. And that was my sentence. He wasn't being critical, he was just being truthful. And so what happened, there was a lady at the governor's mansion named Miss Jane Ross. Unbeknown to me, it was taught by Louisiana, the governor's mansion staff reading the Time Magazine to tell the governor what's going on there. So Governor Foster said, well, call Burl Cain. He didn't say call, but just call Burl Cain. I want to talk to him. So he called him, and he asked him, say, this guy Howard, that Time Magazine writing about his food, is this good? Can he really cook that good? Warden Cain said, he can cook good, so that's why I got him in my house. So the governor said, you know what, I want you to pack everything up he got, and I'm going to send my personal bodyguard to come get him and bring him to come cook for me and my family. at the governor's mansion. Now remember, I got a life sentence. No parole, no probation, no suspension of sentence. But remember, I asked God to help me be a better person. And when I started making changes, God started opening up doors. So anyway, Warden Burl Cain was glad to see me go, but at the same time he wasn't glad because he knew he could trust me in his house and I stay out of his business. So he told the governor, he said, well, Governor, you know he got life. I heard the governor said, well, you got him in your house, he can't be all bad. You know what I'm saying? So he sent Captain Fred Kennedy, his personal bodyguard, came to the front gate. They said, Howard Allen, get all your stuff. And they loaded me up in the car, put me in the front seat, and drove me straight to the governor's mansion. And when he went to the governor's mansion, I didn't talk to Governor Foster then, but later on he came and talked to me. And he sit me down. He said, you know what? He said, I don't know why I requested you to come here. He said, I can get chefs from Italy, Japan, China, Germany, anywhere. He said, but some reason I felt compelled to just get you here. I felt you'd be an asset. I said, well, thank you, Governor. He said, well, what you got to say? I said, well, Governor, the only thing I can say, I promise you this, you'll never turn the TV on 10 o'clock news and see why I don't let you down. He said, well, I'm going to hold you to that. So he told his bodyguard, he said, look, he said, you got the money? I said, no, sir. He said, here, he gave me $200 out of his pocket. He said, take him to the mall and let him get some clothes. He said, you got a watch? I said, no, I gave it to one of the guys back there. He said, well, let him hold your watch. So he told the bodyguard, let me hold his watch or give me a watch so I could come back. So he took me to the mall, dropped me off, let me out the car, told me, said, let the mall, go in there. So if I run off, that's on me being stupid. I wasn't fast, the last thing on my mind. You know what I'm saying? So I went in the mall, walked around. But see, I had been going to the street with Warden Cain, and I had been doing different things in the prison because I worked for Warden Cain. So a lot of privileges I had. So anyway, when I went to the mall, I got some clothes, and he told me to be back at 6:45, and at 6:30, I was right there where he wanted me to be. And he said, okay. He said, we just want to see what you're stupid enough to run off. I said, no, sir. So he brought me back, and I said, can I talk to the governor again? He said, sure. So that next morning, the governor called me in his office. I thanked him for giving me the money, and I had some change left over. I gave him the change. He said, oh, that's yours. I said, Governor, can I ask you a question? I said, what food do you like? What foods do you like? He said, huh? I said, what foods do you like? What menu do you like? He said, why? I said, well, because if I'm going to work for you, I want to cook what you like for you. Excuse me. And he said, you know what? I've never had a chef come here and ask me that. They just put food in front of me and feel I'm like it. He said, I like that about you. And one thing, he didn't eat nothing with bones in it. Now, he hunted regular, ducks. And he hunted regular, but he didn't eat it. Now, his favorite meal was filet mignon. And he had an eggplant casserole. Believe it or not, he had me to make that for him every day. It was an eggplant casserole. He wanted me every day. I made sure that was on that stove every morning.
So let me interrupt. So at this point, are you considered his personal chef?
Yes. Well, I was the governor's mansion chef. That was my job.
Okay.
That was my job.
And you were living there? Or where were you? What were you doing at night once the day ended?
Well, now at that time, I went in as what they did. They got me in there first as a salad chef. They were watching me. And then when they saw I started doing what I started getting home and garden magazines. And whatever I saw in that magazine, that's what I copied and put on their table. And they liked it there because the chefs before them was just getting them iceberg lettuce and all that. I was getting them exotic salads, and they loved it that. Matter of fact, I sent you a picture of one of the martini salads. What's a martini salad? So elegant, and they enjoyed that. They enjoyed that. So, but at that time, I was the salad chef. Then they moved me up to the head chef. Now at that time, there were times I stayed over at the governor's mansion at night. And there were a lot of times they had parties at the governor's mansion. And they would allow me to work the parties. Sometimes the people that come don't have a chef. Governor Foster said, well, hey, y'all can hire out, but y'all got to pay him.
And at this point, you're still serving a life
I'm
sentence.
serving a life sentence, no parole, no probation. I was still 99079, inmate 99079.
But you're wearing civilian clothes in the house,
yes,
and
yeah.
you're sleeping at the governor's mansion,
Right, and
unsupervised.
periodically,
Unsupervised.
Unsupervised. Get on the telephone when I want to, go walking when I want to. If I need to go to the store on the weekend, just tell the governor he'll clear it and he take me to the store on the weekend. Yeah. Get on the telephone, talk all night.
Okay, so let's fast forward a bit.
Okay.
You served 22 years at Angola.
Well, 15 at Angola.
Okay.
I did 5 at CDC.
Okay.
15 at Angola and 4 at the state police barracks,
Okay.
which is the governor's mansion.
So 22 or 23 total.
Right.
So tell me what happened on Christmas Day 2023, Christmas Day 2003.
I was in the kitchen getting ready for a banquet. And, banquets, they would always bring me official paper, say state of Louisiana, then this banquet, this time, and I would put them aside, look at them. So his bodyguard came in and said, "Hey, Howard, you might want to look at that." I said, "Okay," but I was trying to whisk up something real quick, and I didn't want it to fall. And I said, "Yes, sir, I take care of it." So he said, "You might want to look at that now." I said, "Okay, give me a minute." He said, "Howard, you might want to look at this right now." So I'm like, "What's this important?" So I picked it up and I began to read it, and it said, state of Louisiana, all the papers had a proper heading on it. But then it went on to say, "I, Governor Mike Foster, commute Howard Allen time from life with no parole, no probation, no suspension of sentence to 60 years. And I'm like, "What?" And the bodyguard say, "I told you might want to read that." And I say, "The governor?" They say, "Yeah." So he let me when I opened the door, I hugged that man's neck. When I hugged his neck, started crying. Because remember, I had no way out.
And you happen to have that piece of paper. Just maybe hold it up for 1 sec and we can put it back down there. But is it in there still?
Yeah.
So this says Executive Department granted clemency to Howard P. Allen, dated 6. Well,
I don't have my glasses on.
no, it's dated December 2003, the 24th.
December. See that? Day before
Christmas Eve.
And that's when he gave it to me. Christmas Eve. He said, "That's your Christmas present, Howard." He said, "Howard," look what he told me. He said, "Howard," he said, "You know what, Howard?" He said, "I didn't just give you that." He said, "I didn't give you that." He said, "I've been watching you since you've been this governor's man, since you've been here." He said, "I watch you around my kids. I watch you around my guests." He said, "I watch you around my wife." He said, "And your character is consistent." He said, "I really believe if you got out of here, you're going to do something positive with your life." He said, we all been watching you here." He said, "And you've never caused us any problem." He said, "That's why I cut your tax. He said, you deserve to go home."
And just explain, so he commuted it to 60 years, which means if you, a third of that, I think, you served.
Well, on the way the parole board was set up at that time, if you do 1/3 of your sentence and 1/3 of 60, which would be 20. But at that time, I actually had 22 years in, so I was 2 years over. And that's where he signed it like that. So I'm already ready to go home. So when he signed it, but he was getting ready to go out of office. So now Governor Blanco coming in. She coming in January. She had inaugurated. Now when she moved in the house and they start eating my cooking, they don't want to let me go. But now she was a good lady too, man.
Let me ask, just to be clear. So as soon as you receive this piece of paper, are you a free man?
No. As soon as I received that paper, I was eligible for parole.
And then how long before you received parole?
Well, what happened by Governor Blanco not being in office yet, and Governor Foster was going out, Governor Blanco came in January. So her parole board didn't get set up till April. New governor coming in, the transition and all that. It didn't get set up till around by April. So I had to wait for the parole board to get set up. But it was Governor Foster, someone was Governor Foster's old parole board. Matter of fact, when I went before the board, my attorney went with me, Mr. Clay Walker. That's a good man. Clay Walker is, and his father too. But they told Mr. Clay, they said, "Who are you?" He said, "I'm Clay Walker. I'm Howard Allen's attorney." They said, "Sir, you can sit down." They say, you can't tell us nothing about this man. We know this man from Warden Cain house. We know him from the governor's mansion. So you can sit down. That's what they told me.
And so in April of 2004, you received your parole and you're a free man.
Well, what they did, they gave me parole and they sent me home. And I got out about a week later and been here ever since.
All right, so I don't want to spend too much time on this next question, but tell me a little bit about your time with Governor Blanco.
I didn't realize when I was cooking for her that I was a part of history. You already know this. Governor Kathleen Blanco was Louisiana's first and only female governor. She was the first. She set the bar. Governor Blanco did. And I was her executive. I was the executive chef to Louisiana's first female governor. Yeah.
And so you were there from January to April after you received your parole. Did you remain working for Governor Blanco?
Well, from when Governor Foster, when the transition happened in December, she came in January, so I was still there. So January, February, March, April, I was there. And that's when I built a relationship with them. And she told me, well, how we really wish you would kind of come back and be on staff or something. I said, well, Governor, I said, when I was a little boy, I was bad. And my great-grandmother had been with me this whole time. And I said, I want to go back home to allow her to see me make something out of myself before the good Lord called her on. And when I got out, my grandmother was 100 years old. Yeah. Matter of fact, Mayor Glover gave her a Centennial Award for her birthday. So she lived to be 112 before she died.
Wow.
She was born in 1902, my great-grandmother, yeah. And I came back to Shreveport because I wanted her, among everybody, to see me do something in my life. You know what I'm saying? And I think one of my proudest moments when I got out, I was the manager of Summer Grove Baptist Church restaurant at the Manor House. And I was walking through the house one day, and she told me, she said, Pernell? I said, ma'am? She said, baby, I'm glad to see you do something with yourself. And that made me proud. You know what I'm saying? Because I know I had hurt her and let her down as a child. I was bad. I was found the crowd. I was part of the crowd. You know what I'm saying? So, and then going to prison alone, killing somebody, that didn't make them proud of me, So I wanted them to be proud of me. I wanted to be proud, do something that meant something. That's why now I go to the juvenile homes, I go to the prisons, I stop kids on the street. You know what's gratifying? Sometimes I be at the McDonald's, kids will come to me and say, Mister, do you know me? And I don't lie. I said, no, I don't remember you. Say, you came to the juvenile home and say, your testimony blessed me. One dude said, see, I'm working at Cain, Raising Cain. He said, I want to be a chef. And it's good when you see you can impact people in a positive way and still encourage them to go sell drugs or hurt somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Yeah. So.
Well, tell me, you told me a little bit, but tell me about some of the work you're doing now and some of the different work you've been doing since being back in your hometown of Shreveport.
On your last question, Governor Blanco, nice lady. Her husband was Coach, first gentleman. His favorite food, catfish amadi. He loved catfish amadi, which is catfish with almonds. When I got out, I started working extensively with my uncle James Lane. We did a lot of work with Greenwood Acres Baptist Church. Did a lot of work with Summer Grove Baptist Church. Was on Joyce Myers. Joyce Myers did a documentary of it. The Baptist Message did a story on me. Did a television show with Dr. Roy Mestella, Feels Like Home. Time Magazine did me. I was in prison. But what we really been doing, just reaching out to people. Reaching out to kids, reaching out to the last event we did, I think is probably one of the most successful ones I took pride in recently, was attorney Jacqueline Scott. I met her through a young lady she called me brother and sister, Rhonda Marie Phillips. Attorney Scott wanted to do some things in the Cedar Grove area. And I wanted to do some things in the Cedar Grove area. So we got together, we sat down, we talked, and she came in and she was very instrumental with helping. Pizza Hut donated, Johnny Pizza donated, people in the neighborhood donated. We had over 200 people in Cedar Grove to show up on a Saturday morning. to the
A.B.
event.
Palmer.
A.B. Palmer, over 200 people. We had the people from the military there, in case they want to know about that. We had people by taxes, in case you didn't know about that. There were people there to help you get a home, if you didn't know about that. There were people there for hair, people there for insurance. It was all kind of little, what they did, we used the gym. And there were people set up in all kind of little stations. So anything you needed, anything you need to talk about, somebody was there to help you with it. You know what I'm saying?
So, I have two more formal questions, and at the end we'll come back, and anything you want to talk about, we can. Okay. My first question's the following.
Okay.
My question is, what do you attribute your ability to be rehabilitated to compared to most of the people you met while in Angola?
Choices. Because everybody in Angola confronted with the same thing. You know, you confronted with being away from your family. You confronted with a long lengthy sentence. You confronted with being around a bunch of people you don't know and can't trust. You sleep in a dormitory with 75 other guys, murderers, rapists, robbers, child molesters. This the melting pot you in. Prison is a dysfunctional environment. And everybody who can't function in society, that's where they at. You know what I'm saying? So prison itself won't change you, because it's, you know, if anything, it'll make you worse, because you're getting there with the bad guys and they'll teach you more bad habits. But you gotta say, I want something out of life different. Or somebody gotta influence you, show you something different. You know what I'm saying? Then you say, you know what? That's the road I wanna go down, but I never knew how. You know what I'm saying?
But when you say choices, I mean, I know you're a very faithful man, but aside from your faith, I mean,
right.
When you say choices, what exactly do you mean? Like, what
kind of prompted me?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna show you. Prison is split up the walk is split up in two different sides. On one side of the walk, you got like 2,500 people. On the other side of the walk, you got like 2,500 people. This side is what they call the wild side. That's where all the youngsters at, all the thugs at. And the other side is where the older guys at, the trustees, guys that been there a while and don't slow down and that's dying now and getting buried there. So long as I was over here with the wild side and, you know, living the wild life and seeing all the wildlife and not thinking about tomorrow, that's all. But once I made trustee and I got moved over on the trustee side and I started seeing me, and matter of fact, I slept next to a guy that had been in prison since 1964. Yeah, his name was Donald Buffett. 1964.
The year you were born.
The year I was born. And here I'm sleeping next to him in prison. And I realized this can be me. This can be me if I don't change my ways. And then when I started moving around the prison, you know, they got two graveyards up there. They got Point Lookout 1 and Point Lookout 2. Point Lookout 1, they had to shut it down because so many guys were buried there. When they go start digging the grave, they would find a skull. There ain't nobody but we buried there. They dig somewhere else, they found a skull on the arm. So they shut that because so many people were buried there, you know. So they started. So Warden Cain, out of respect, he started a graveyard across the street called Point Lookout 2, and it looked more like Arlington, you know, with the crosses and neat stuff. That's what he did. But also that was an eye-opening situation that let me know, hey, if you don't get out of here, that's where you gonna wind up in.
But what percentage of the 2,500, the trustees, have that same wake up moment? And I guess that's my first question. Right. And then, you know, why did you have it compared to so few others, maybe?
Look, I can't know, because a lot of people talk about they want to go home and what they're gonna do when they get home and how they're gonna live when they get home, but they're not doing the work they need to do to change them to go home. And I think back to choices. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people want stuff, but they don't want to put the work in to do it. And I think a lot of people I saw in prison, they still with their treatment influenced by their environment, want to be accepted by people who don't care nothing about them. You know, so running behind people that when it really, really get hard, people are gonna turn their back on them. You know, so if you can wake up and realize that the guys in prison are not your friends and they don't think nothing about you, then you start thinking about yourself. You know what I'm saying? You say, do I want to live here? You know, you say, I want a child. I want a home. I want to go on vacation. I want to go to the mall. This is where I want to spend the rest of my life. So if I don't want to spend the rest of my life, I need to do something about it. I need to change. And that's what
And my final formal question, and again, we'll come back to you, is I'm leaning on you now for some guidance. My question is, do you have any advice on how we do a better job with our reentry work here in Caddo Parish, and any guidance on how we work with the 1,500 people at CCC in a safe way?
Let me tell you what I saw. You're not going to believe this. Warden Cain came in with a whole different philosophy on the prison. The wardens prior to him came in with structure and rules. But Warden Cain came in with, lack of a better word, religion. He had every church coming in there, every organization that wanted to come in and tell people about Jesus, any organization, Cowboys for Christ, what the other one was, Make a Friend, Be a Friend, I can't think of the name of them. Any organization that was credible and wanted to come in and share, he allowed them to. And what that did, that started fluctuating the prison with a positive message, where guys were thinking about killing each other, stabbing each other, raping each other. Now they being flooded with the Christian mentality. So now they got a different way to look at something on life that a lot of them had been exposed to. You know what I'm saying? So that gave them something to look at different. And then they started the Bible college in prison, NOBTS, New Orleans Baptist Theological College, started a seminar, and I went to it. And so that gave guys something positive to do. And then he started doing things like on the 4th of July, the kitchen open all day. You can go in and eat all you want to. He had cold drink machines on the yard. And he said, because I worked for him, he said, Howard, how can I make a man with a life sentence not run off? How can I make a man with a life sentence not want to kill somebody? He said, I got to give him some kind of expectation. I got to make him comfortable.
Amazing. And
what he did,
and Warden Cain is now, I think, head of Mississippi Department of Corrections.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Very intelligent man, too. Very intelligent man.
And I read a story. I mean, I've never met him, but I read a story about how he would, how many people he had to kill because he was the one that was overseeing, I guess, the electric chair.
Now, he hated that, too. He hated that,
right,
man.
That's what
he hated that. And it caused him some marital problems, too. Not getting into his personal business, but it caused him some family problems, too.
But he would hold his inmates' hands as they were passing away, I read.
Yeah. That bothered him. Matter of fact, some of the recipes I learned that he gave me from his mother. Yeah. That's the kind of person he was, And he would sit down and talk to me like you and I talking now. Sorry, Mike. But he would sit down and talk to me like you and I talk. 'Cause a lot of times just be he and I. Now, some conversations I'd never ever repeat again, but he gave me a lot of positive advice. He allowed me to meet some positive people that was an influence on my life. And believe it or not, being around the right people with right attitudes make a big difference.
Absolutely.
Filthy communication corrupt good manners. You know what I'm saying? So good communication will corrupt filthy manners. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So.
And those are my set questions, but like I said, that's just what jumped off at me, but anything you want to share, say, we have all the time in the world. I want you to know that you have that space, and those were just my specific questions.
One thing I found to be instrumental with dealing with the youth is not putting myself above them, because then it's like I'm challenging them. I learned to listen. Even if I don't agree with what they're saying, I learned to listen. That way they feel what I'm saying to them what they're saying to me is important. That way, since they feel that I gave them my attention, then they'll turn around and listen to me. And so that's one of my most instrumental in listening. Matter of fact, we did some work with attorney Felicia Hamilton. We went and spoke at Praise Temple just here recently. And it was a wonderful event. One of the guys that spoke after me, he said, well, my testimony ain't like that there, but I got something to say. My mama used to whoop me because I used to skip the bus. The guy on the radio station, KOK, I forgot his name, but good little guy. But I've learned that to be one of the most instrumental listening, and then not putting myself above them, and then tell them, say, look, well, what do you want out of life? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I ask them questions like, well, how you plan on getting this? Then that's when it opened my door.
And where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully alive, if I see myself alive, doing stuff in Shreveport. I don't see myself really ever leaving Shreveport, to be honest with you, because I feel there's so much here to be done. I don't feel God brought me out of jail. Well, I know that for sure. He didn't allow me to come out of jail to be a whoremonger, a thief, or a drug dealer, or a murderer again. He brought me out so now people can see what he's still capable of doing. And I use that platform to tell people, say, look, my life was thrown away because some bad choices I made. But now, because of the choices I'm making now, I'm pretty successful. God bless me. I have real estate. I have automobiles. I have a business. I got a successful family. I have no complaints. I'm very grateful. Because I'm not supposed to be here. So I feel I have an obligation to stop and say something to somebody. Because I don't mind telling people. I'm not proud of my beginning of my story. I really am not proud of it at all. I wish I could turn all that around, but I can't. But what I do, I use it as a platform to tell the people the bad choices I made and how that choice put me in a situation where my whole life was over with. I had no parole, no probation, no suspicion of sinners. And now I'm at home and I have a life. So God gave me a chance to come out to be an asset. And that's why when people ask me now to come speak, I go.
Well, Howard, I appreciate you, and I'm so inspired by your story. I so appreciate your willingness to just be here and share it and be open with everyone.
Well, I like your program. My family had been telling me they was up on you, but I run so much I hadn't. But I started back watching and I said, this guy has a good format. I really liked it. And that's why I'm here. I admire what you're doing in the city. You know what I'm saying? And Shreveport have a lot of things to be proud of. But if people won't know about it, if it was people like you and me telling people about what Shreveport have beside the crime. You know what I'm saying? Every city got crime. Every city, even Washington, D.C. got crime. But what's being done with the crime, you know what I'm saying? So anything I can do to be an asset, I'm here.
Well, Howard, thanks so much. Anything else you want to say?
No, I thank you for the opportunity to come, and I enjoyed myself.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well,
I enjoyed 318.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Great to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thank you.
All right.